Hey there, writers. So a couple of weeks ago on this channel, I had a video all about how to beat procrastination using writing challenges. Well, I'm a contrary madam, and so I wanted to give the other side of the story and why it's maybe not a good idea at all for you to take part in any sort of writing challenge. At the moment, I am actually taking part in my own version of National Novel Writing Month. So I am writing the first draft of a new romance set in a little seaside town in Wales. And I'm having a great time, although it's really hard work. I'm going to be writing at least 50,000 words this month, hopefully more. It will be a complete draft. And I'm really enjoying being completely involved in the story and thinking about it all the time. Like I say, it's going really well. I'm actually a little bit ahead on word count, fingers crossed, and it's working for me. But writing challenges definitely don't work for everyone. The main thing that I would say is there are many different types of writing challenges. So it may be that you can find one which suits you. And I know that since there's been some controversy with NaNoWriMo, a lot of different writing challenges have popped up, which is absolutely brilliant. But I'm kind of talking in general about challenges where you set yourself to write for either a certain amount every day or a certain number of words every day or during a specific period of time. So the main reason why they might not be a good idea is just because life can get in the way. Taking part in a writing challenge, especially a big one like National Novel Writing Month, can be a big undertaking. It's a big commitment for the amount of time that you're taking part of it in, and sometimes we just don't have time for that in our lives. I really wasn't sure whether I would be able to take part in NaNoWriMo this year just because there's been a lot going on in my personal life. I'm really glad that I have been able to. There will be times when you can't. A few years ago, when my kids were younger, I definitely wouldn't have attempted to do this because I know that I become very involved in my story when I do something like this. And it's just not fair on little kids when mummy's being crazy and is in her imaginary world all the time. Similarly, it just might not fit in with your work commitments either. If you work full time, you've got kids or you've got people that you care for, it's just not possible to do the big word counts that NaNoWriMo requires. Of course, what you can do is be an independent little writer and set your own targets, your own goal. So I really love it when people do this, especially for the Camp Nanos, which take place in April and July each year. I think that's a great way to still kind of push yourself that little bit, but doing it under your own terms and making it so that it works for you. There is a danger that writing challenges can lead to burnout and to overcommitment, which we've kind of already touched on. So overcommitment, where you've kind of taken on more that you can manage and you either don't manage to do it at all, or you end up like I would, getting in a bit of a state about the fact that you're getting behind in your word count and just not enjoying the experience at all. And we don't want that. The point is that taking part in these kind of things should be really fun. The other thing that can happen, burnout. I've definitely had this happen to me to a small degree. So sometimes when you're just working so hard for a particular period of time on a writing challenge, you reach the end, it's brilliant, fantastic, you've done loads, but then you're so exhausted from doing all of this writing that you don't actually end up writing anything proper for the next couple of months. So actually, would you have been better off taking it easier, and maybe you would have written more, or at least enjoyed the experience more, if you'd spread that 1 month worth of writing over, say, 3 or 4 months, rather than doing it in 1 month and then spending ages recovering. I don't know, and it really depends, I think, on what sort of a writer you are. I've said so many times before that it's really important to know yourself as a writer so that you know exactly what works for you. There's also the argument that you can compromise quality of your work over quantity if you're writing really, really big word counts. And I definitely think that this can be a problem. The way that I try to ensure that this doesn't happen is by normally capping how much I write in a day on a challenge like NaNoWriMo. So I'll typically write 2,000 words a day, thereabouts. I won't go much beyond that, because what I found is that when I've done this before, the story kind of gets away from me and I don't have control of it anymore. And then the next day when I sit down, it's kind of all a jumble. It's all a mess, and it takes me longer to go back and sort it out, tell my characters off if they've been misbehaving, and get everything back on track. For me, at least, when I'm writing something very quickly, I need a plan. I know what I need to write. And that's incredibly important for me. Other people might be happy to pants it, but I definitely think that there's a danger that you're going to go off in a direction that maybe you don't want to, and then you're going to need to bring everything back. So yeah, my solution is to not do really, really big word counts. I'm also quite a slow writer, so just doing 2,000 words a day takes me a really long time anyway, and I can't imagine that I would ever be able to do 10k a day. There's also these kinds of challenges where there's a community which can be absolutely brilliant and supportive, but I do think that sometimes we can compare ourselves to other people too much, and sometimes we can feel bad about ourselves. And it's so easy to do, especially if you've had a bit of a rough day writing, or just you haven't been able to do very much. And then you're kind of in a Facebook group or something like that discussing your days, and somebody says, oh, really, really great. I've had an 8k day. I'm now 12,000 words ahead on my project. I'm going to finish before, a week before the end of the challenge and everything like that. And you can definitely feel bad about yourself in that situation. But we all work differently. We all work at different paces. And I really think it's important that we stay in our own lanes and we work as works best for us. So sometimes comparison during these kind of writing challenges can be quite negative. Yet another issue can be lack of time to edit and just think about your work. Good writing, you need time to be able to think about the story, about the characters. I think you can't just sit down and just it out in one go. I just really don't think that that's the way to get a really good story. What I tend to do when I'm doing NaNoWriMo is when I start work writing at the beginning of the day, I will read back what I wrote the previous day, kind of work through it, maybe do a little bit of fiddling with it. I definitely edit as I'm writing as well, which is one of the reasons why I don't get the high word count. That's just what I found works for me after quite a bit of trial and error. But other people need much, much more time to think about what's going on in their story and what needs to happen next. I tend to make sure that my story is pretty well planned out. The other thing that I do is when I've finished writing for the day, I will make sure that I know what I'm writing the next day, and I'll plan it out in even greater detail than in the general plan that I have, so that I'm all set up to work and I know what's going on. I have quite a lot of time during the day because I don't have any other full-time work other than writing and writing related things. I've got plenty of time to sit in the bath and think about my characters, or take the dogs for a walk and think about my story arc. So there is a certain amount of kind of thinking time that I can fit in, but that's not possible for everybody, and other people need longer to think about stuff. It's not as planned out. Ideas change, storylines change, and that can just be a bit of an issue during challenges. The final point that I wanted to make is just that writing challenges don't suit everybody's writing process. Everybody is different. Everybody writes differently. Some people really like to write an awful lot over a short period of time and then not write anything for a while. Other people are kind of slow and steady and they like to write every day, just a small amount. Other people can only kind of write at the weekends because of work. It really depends completely on you and your writing style as to whether you can find any kind of writing challenge which will work for you. I'm by no means saying that you cannot find something that will work for you and will kind of help you with your creativity, maybe push you a little bit, either with the type of writing that you, or encouraging you to write more or to finish a project. I definitely think they have their uses, but don't feel bad if for whatever reason you just decide that you can't take one on at the moment, or if you haven't found one that suits you yet. Of course, as I said, I did a video a couple of weeks ago talking about all the amazing advantages of writing challenges. That is linked down in the description below. So please make sure that you check that out, along with all the kind of NaNoWriMo vlogs and things like that I've got if you're wanting to follow along with how I did on different writing challenges myself. I love them so much that I wrote a book all about how to win NaNoWriMo. It's called Eat, Sleep, Write, Repeat. And it's not just about NaNoWriMo, it's also about kind of any writing challenge and how you can set yourself up for success and be able to kind of write more and fit extra writing into your life. And that is available from Amazon as both ebook and paperback now. So much good luck if you are doing any sort of writing challenge this month. I would love to hear about it down in the comments below, and I will catch you in my next video.